Alright, Indrik Boreal asked if we take a look at Baldermort's Guide to Warhammer, Kharn the Betrayer. And I have to agree with Indrik Boreal in pretty much all things. In any case, we're going to go ahead and get into this. I'm going to go ahead and say this before the video starts. Like and subscribe if you like the video. And I have a Patreon and my Discord down in the description. Couple other things, working on some lore videos, things like that. We'll see how much I can get done. My life is kind of busy right now, but I'm going to try to get them out as soon as possible. In any case, here we go.
I just can't believe it. It's beyond comprehension. How quickly things can change. How swiftly one can go from being at the top of the heap to staring oblivion in the eye. My first command, finally, after all of these years of work and duty, and one man has changed all of it over the course of a single hour. One man. Well, I call him a man. I'm not sure that description fits. As I looked through the screens that show his bloody wake, I am not sure demon is strong enough a word. Things were going so well. No issues amongst the crew, no issues with the ship. All was going just swimmingly. I ran to stretch your legs and get your feet under the table, is what I was told by the Admiral. A walk in the park. And it was. We chased off a set of raiders, and our new crew had won their spurs. Everything was just dandy. But when we returned to our port,
Everything was just fucking dandy!
Holy Throne, we saw a vision from a nightmare. The base in flames, the Admiral and his flotilla gone. Wreckage and refuse, replaced with what had been 20 ships. Some of them line vessels at the peak of performance. Now so much charred remains and twisted metal, all gone. I was staggered, I freely admit it. A moment of shock that caused all of this. We should have turned tail and rabbited immediately. But I froze. I did nothing as the bridge transformed into a rabble. Froze as I was informed that a boarding pod had been launched at us. Froze when they hit us, and its payload started to rampage across our decks. Only when the screaming started over the vox did I snap out of my wide-eyed confusion. The intruders had broken into two groups, you see. One was heading towards the engine rooms, the other was heading towards the bridge. So few of them. I laughed at their audacity when we gained screen confirmation I could see. A group of only 9 heading toward the engine room, power-armoured and twisted beyond reckoning. Parodies of Astartes. But only 9. My men were well versed in boarding defence. I did not know why the units that the XO had scrambled to the side had fallen so quickly, but I was so certain that these mad traitors, for they could be nothing else, had bitten off more than they could chew. What made me laugh out loud, dismissively, arrogantly, was that only one of them had taken the pathway to the bridge. One! They were insane. They had to be. All of them. But one? One would take the bridge? My amusement gave way to rage at the effrontery of it all. I bellowed for other men to converge on the main corridor and end this scum, then move down the ship to crush the group heading toward the engine room. That was nearly an hour ago. Nothing has stopped him. This one madman, this one terror. He has used that horrific axe of his to chew through over 200 of my best trained men. We turned off the screens after watching him in action for only 5 minutes. A speed, a skill, a sheer unbridled fury that I've never even conceived was possible. He just hacks through everything and everyone we have sent at him. That clanging. It's the door. He is at the door. He is hacking at it and has done so for a few minutes now. Even an Astartes would not be able to get through that door. Not by just hacking at it, but his axe bites and chunks come off. Small chunks, but chunks. He is unstoppable, unappeasable. We all know. We all look at each other with mournful resignation. Some have guns out, some are hiding. But it will do no good. He will come through that door. And when he does, we are all dead. Never before have I witnessed such rage.
Yeah, one thing about Kharn. Not only was he one of the best World Eater leaders, period, and not only did he have the backing of Angron up until Angron had no mind of his own really to back anyone, he was also a ridiculously good fighter. Erebus was an exceptional fighter. He beat pretty much the best that the Lunar Wolves had. And he did it quite regularly. When he would be going from ship to ship, he was renowned as a really good fighter. He beat most of the World Eaters champions. He almost beat Lucius from the Emperor's Children. But Kharn basically bitch-slapped him into another dimension. And he did it so casually, it was just senseless. He made Erebus just look like an utter joke in comparison to him. And, yeah. If you were to take a look at the Horus Heresy era fighters, just straight out melee fighters, Kharn is easily in the top 5, if not in the top 3. In any case, continuing on.
Welcome, gentle listener. I am Baldermort, and I wish to introduce you to the forces, factions, and figures of the Warhammer 40k universe. We have recently had quite a few entries on the forces of the Imperium, so I thought it best that we take a change of pace. Time to look at some of the foes of the Imperium instead. When one considers the threats to the Imperium, it is often the way to look at the leaders, the demagogues, the tyrants, who lead their men from the flagship or command tent, only deigning to take the field at crux points. But today, we are to look at one of the most important threats to the Imperium that is not, as I have just described. For some of the most interesting elements in the Warhammer universe are not just the global or galactic stage, but the colour and life breathed into the smaller figures, but no less important. As they say, the devil is in the detail, and there can be few as devilish as the traitor Marine we are about to introduce. But please do bear in mind that this is an introduction only. In time, we shall explore and catalogue this individual's many deeds in far more detail. Hence today, we shall begin to explore one of the most important battlefield champions of chaos, a being of dread and rage and power that cannot be underestimated. Kharn the Betrayer, the curse of Skalathrax. No son of the World Eaters, few amongst all of the traitor legions, can be said to have had such an important effect on the history of the grim darkness of the future. Not that he was personally responsible for each and every action, like a Horus Lupercal or a Lorgar Aurelian, but he can be said to have had a lasting impact and to have been present at most of the greatest events of the Horus Heresy and
This
thereafter.
is true. This is true.
No demon prince, despite his activities and roll call of slain and service to the mighty god Kharn, Lord of Skulls, God of Blood. It was Kharn who drew his Primarch Angron out of his melancholy, and it was Kharn who got him to engage with his chapter, the World Eaters. It was Kharn who was said to be the first through the breach at the Siege of Terra, and it is Kharn who survived and even laid low that most important of all the Marines, outside of the Primarchs themselves, Sigismund, the Emperor's champion. But let us now lean on existing wisdom for the core of this important character. To quote, Kharn the Betrayer, Curse of Skalathrax. Kharn has dedicated his millennia-long existence to unleashing bloody carnage upon anyone and anything within reach. He is drawn by the scent of war as a hungering hound is drawn by fresh meat, and it has been impossible to tally his slain. Even during the Great Crusade, when he fought in the vanguard of the World Eaters' Legion's assault companies, Kharn was known to be a brilliant warrior. When the Horus Heresy came, Kharn gladly led his warriors against his brother Space Marines, and his number of kills reached shocking new levels as he followed his master Angron along the road to the attack on Terra itself. During the siege of the Emperor's Palace, Kharn was at the forefront of the assault. When Horus was defeated, Kharn already lay horribly mangled upon a mound of corpses. His fellow World Eaters carried away his lifeless remains and fought their way back to their ships. Once aboard, they discovered that Kharn was still alive. Whether Khorne had breathed life back into his berserk champion, or Kharn's own relentless spirit simply refused to leave it, is impossible to say. But he benefits from the supernatural protection of his murderous deity to this day. Kharn is called a betrayer because of an incident on the demon world of Skalathrax.
Yep.
Fighting against the Emperor's children, the World Eaters needed just one more victory over Fulgrim's warriors before the planet could be claimed in Khorne's name. The battle had to be won before Skalathrax's long frozen night drew in and killed victor and vanquished alike. Yet the World Eaters could gain no ground against their foes, and were hurled back time and time again by the devastating sonic weapons of the Noise Marines. Kharn cursed his fellow warriors for failing in the attack, and seizing a flamer, he torched the nearest buildings in a gesture of contempt. He cut down those who tried to stop him, and marched into the gloom, consuming the city in flames as he went, and slaughtering all that he found, friend or foe. Anarchy engulfed the World Eaters as they fell upon each other, and the Legion was irrevocably split into hundreds of individual warbands. Since that bloody day, Kharn has been Khorne's most ardent warrior, who lives only to slay in the name of the Blood God. Gorechild. Gorechild is Kharn's huge and ancient chain axe, once used by Angron to hack his legend into the worlds of the Great Crusade when the Space Marines reaved across the galaxy. Gorechild's jagged, whirling teeth were torn from the jaws of Mica Dragons upon Luther McIntyre. Its haft is forged of adamantine, and its head is a full 3 spans across. It is a deadly weapon capable of splitting a Space Marine from head to crotch with one blow, and is doubly dangerous in the hands of Kharn. End quote. And here it is, the fun of Warhammer. For there is as much depth in some of the minor characters as there is in the world or galaxy-changing generals. For Kharn is a well-loved and storied character that really epitomizes much of what makes Warhammer so much of an escape, so difficult to walk away from when one has been bitten by its over-the-top grandeur and soul-crushing misery. He is a stalwart of the battlefield, and a must-include in most World Eater forces across the globe.
True.
But it is not purely his lethality in the game that makes him so popular. It is the richness of his backstory, his history, his character. A persona that is entirely grimdark. For few worshippers of the Blood God show his motives and methods more than Kharn the Betrayer. Even in the midst of his men, his forces, his previous brothers, none are safe. It is often shouted by many a fan and character inside the universe. Khorne cares not from where the blood flows, as long as it flows. In Kharn, these words are shown more than any amount of verbiage. He will kill and make people bleed, not because it is the tactically astute or acute thing to do, but because he must. He is taken by the fury of the Blood God, and if there are no, or too few, enemies present, then he will just as willingly, if not gleefully, take his mighty axe Gorechild to his own allies. This is the underbelly of service to the Chaos Gods. They whisper dark promises of power and acclaim, immortality and glory. But when they have someone in their clutches, the addict firmly in their grasp, the reality then dawns on all of those who witness the character. The Chaos God promises freedom, but in their service there is only thraldom. For no matter the situation, Kharn will take his tithe of blood, will wade neck deep in the gore and viscera of his allies as much as his enemies, if the rage is upon him. I hope you have enjoyed this woefully brief introduction to the legend that is Kharn the Betrayer, but have no fear, gentle listener. You will see him in many an entry in the future.
I'm gonna back it up to start the quote before the ad came on.
Far worse than kill.
There we go.
I've done far worse than kill you. I've hurt you.
Oh, okay. I get
I
it.
wish to go on hurting you. I shall leave you as you left me, as you left her. Ruined for all eternity at the center of a dead planet. Buried alive. Buried alive. Oh, sorry, honey. Yes, you're right. Wrong Kharn. Good point. Kharn's on the brain this week, but I'm looking forward to Friday. Votes are in. Time to get some scars action up on the site. Recon Legion indeed. Trying to burst that particular disparaging myth. Oh, on again. Now, no matter what you do today, do try to make some time for fun.
So that was the intro by Baldermort for Kharn the Betrayer. And I gotta say, there's a reason that I like Baldermort's lore videos more than any others. It's because he does it like this. In any case, I'm gonna continue to try to put out at least one video a day while I'm working on the other projects I have going on. And hopefully you guys can bear with me. Until then, I'll catch you guys next time.